Original post. AITA for cutting off my entire family after they scammed me out of my inheritance? I am 32. Have always been considered the black sheep of my family. I didn't go to college. Chose a trade, electrician, and moved out of state at 20 to start an apprenticeship. My family always looked down on me for this, especially my parents and my older siblings, F38 and M35, who both got degrees and stayed nearby. My grandfather, Dad's side, was one of the few people who treated me with kindness and respect. He was a self-made man who started a small but successful construction company. We bonded over working with our hands, and he always said he admired my independence. When he passed suddenly 4 years ago, I was devastated. The will reading was held privately by the family lawyer. I was told by my parents that Grandpa left me his tools, a few personal items, and a letter. They said the rest of the estate went to them and my siblings. I didn't argue. I figured it made sense they'd get the house and money. Grandpa had been closer to me than them, but I never expected anything. But things didn't add up. I never saw the letter they claimed he wrote. They never showed me a copy of the will. Whenever I asked about it, they got defensive or changed the subject. Fast forward to about 6 months ago. My cousin, F29, who works in a law firm, got curious. She remembered how close Grandpa and I were and thought it was weird I hadn't gotten anything substantial. She quietly pulled some strings and got access to a copy of the original will. I was the sole beneficiary. The house, the business, the accounts, all of it was left to me. My grandfather had amended the will 6 months before his death, cutting out my father and siblings entirely. I was in shock. Turns out my family had presented an older version of the will, one that left everything to them. They told the lawyer I didn't want to contest it and faked my signature on some forms. The lawyer has since retired, and my cousin suspects they took advantage of the transition period to pull this off. Edit 1. 1 month later. Thanks for the outpouring of support and advice. I got in touch with an estate lawyer and started a case. It turns out my cousin was spot on. The older will had been used fraudulently. The newer will was legally binding but never submitted to probate. We gathered enough evidence to bring this to court. My cousin agreed to testify. Things got ugly fast. My parents and siblings accused me of trying to tear the family apart for money. I moved back to the area temporarily to attend hearings. During this time, I found Grandpa's original letter in a safety deposit box. He left me the key in a toolbox. The letter explained everything. He knew my father and siblings were manipulative and only cared about money. He wanted to give everything to the one person who understood the value of honest work. Edit 2. 3 months later, court ruled in my favor. The judge agreed that fraud had occurred, and the newer will was upheld. I am now the legal owner of the estate and business. My parents and siblings were ordered to pay restitution, though the house was so run down by that point it needed serious repairs. Here's the kicker. The business had been neglected and nearly ruined. I spent months rebuilding it with some old colleagues. We renamed it Phoenix Contracting. Update. 6 months later. The business is thriving. We won a major city contract last month. I've hired people who were laid off during the pandemic and trained some apprentices too. Just like my grandpa did. My family, meanwhile, is still trying to guilt me. I get letters and messages saying things like, money isn't worth losing your family. But they were never really my family. They lied, stole, and betrayed me. Final update. 1 year later. I went no contact. I donated part of the restitution money to trade schools and started a scholarship fund in my grandfather's name. My sister tried to show up at one of our work sites a few weeks ago. Security escorted her off. Thanks for reading. Reddit. I might not have the family I was born with, but I built something better.